Lights, Camera, Jackson, Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's really confusing, so I didn't find it really appealing or that much entertaining. But it's so confusing, I couldn't understand any of it.
Get out.
So I know I'm probably the last person on the planet to review this film, but today, I finally saw Dunkirk. So here's the review. So first of all, you might be all asking why this is a different format than my regular theater reviews, and this is simply because this is going to be my new review format for both theater reviews and classic reviews. And the reason I'm not going to be doing the in-depth reviews anymore is really complicated, and there's just a lot of reasons. But let's just say that my reviews will be much faster to make from now on. Oh, and also, the reason I'm not doing camera theater reviews is mainly because I feel like I just work better doing it with voice recordings and, editing it on a software. So anyways, let's get on with this review. Dunkirk is directed by Christopher Nolan and stars Harry Styles, Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, and many other actors. So Dunkirk basically documents the events of the 1940 event, the Dunkirk evacuation. So in this movie, Germany has advanced into France, trapping Allied troops on the beaches of Dunkirk. So these troops were slowly evacuated from the beach using every serviceable naval and civilian vessel that could be found. And of course, at the end of this event, 30,000 French, British, Belgian, and Dutch soldiers were safely evacuated. So here are my thoughts on other Christopher Nolan films that I've seen. The Dark Knight trilogy was great. Batman Begins being probably my favorite superhero movie of all time. I liked The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises was okay. I thought Inception was really good, and as far as Interstellar was just It's just kind of I don't know. So what did I think of Dunkirk? Well, it was just okay, to be honest with you. And before you people that loved this film start attacking me, I just want to say that this is my personal opinion, so you don't need to get mad at me just because I have a different opinion than you. This is just my opinion, okay? So first of all, the characters of this movie were definitely the biggest flaw. The characters in this movie are just so forgettable. Yeah, I just found them very forgettable. Like, the acting was fine. I thought Tom Hardy's acting was good, and you know what? I didn't actually mind Harry Styles' acting in this film, but their characters were just boring and just so forgettable. I just really couldn't find anything interesting about these characters, and yeah. And I hate the excuse that this film is kind of giving off that since it's a war movie, you're not really supposed to care for the characters that much. Like, okay, I mean, if I'm gonna get really, really invested into this story, you need to have characters that I actually care about, and that are actually interesting to watch. But the characters in this film are just very forgettable. They're just so, like, generic. There's nothing interesting about them, in my opinion. And as far as the plot of this movie, since the plot is documenting a true event, I'm mainly going to be talking about how well they executed the event. And first of all, I think they did a great job with the brutal action. You really feel that in this film. Like, the action is just brutal, and God, the sound in this movie was just great. The sound, I don't know about you guys, but in my theater, the sound was very loud, so I kind of I really bought into the war thing, like, with the sound. I think they really sold me on that, because this is how a war would actually sound. It'd be really loud, with all the gunshots. And I just love the jet, the jet flybys. You know, when the jets were, like, flying by over the soldiers, it was just, like, you can just see the soldiers, like, covering their ears, and you can just see that this is the war. It was loud, it was really intense, and I love the jet flyby scenes. They were just great to watch. Also the visuals of this film are just great. It's Christopher Nolan. He makes the visuals just stand out. Just the color grading was great, and God, the visuals of this film are just great looking, like, really good looking. And, yeah. But since the characters were bland, it was hard to care that much. Like, it was just a little bit hard to care, especially in the first act. In the first act, like, yes, it does start out with the war right away, but it took me a while to get invested into this story. Because at the beginning, it's just kind of like, okay, generic character, this is not too interesting, and it just took me a while to get invested into this war story. But I enjoyed the overall execution of the showing of how this event unfolded and what happened and, possible things. I think they showed that pretty well. And as I said, the action was great. I just, like, the loud sound effects just really got me into how the war was like. And the action was just very well filmed. The visuals were great looking, the colors, the war setting. And another thing I liked was Hans Zimmer's soundtrack. God, I just love this soundtrack so much. Hans Zimmer's can make, like, he can just make some really good soundtracks sometimes. And, sometimes I'm not a huge fan of his soundtracks, like Man of Steel, and, sometimes I'm not a huge fan, but this was just great. The soundtrack of this movie was, like, it just really helped you get into the war setting, and it just helped create tension within scenes, and just overall, I enjoyed a lot of the soundtrack of this movie. It just worked so well with the movie. And of course, in the ending of this movie, the soldiers were evacuated safely, but, I didn't care as much as I should have, because the characters just weren't that good. As I said, I just wasn't really invested into the characters, so it's like, when that happened, I was just like, okay, it's like, the characters weren't that good, so it's like, okay. But overall, I think Dunkirk was an okay film. I liked the soundtrack, action, visuals, but overall, I didn't care for the characters, and I barely remember them. So I hope you enjoyed this review on Dunkirk. This is basically my first review of this new format, and as I said, it's super complicated, and I feel kind of guilty changing up my reviews again, but I think this will work out since it'll be for theater reviews and for classic reviews, so I don't have to, like, re-review anything. And that's my review of Dunkirk, so I hope you enjoyed it, and as I said, it was just an okay film. I don't think it was that great, to be honest with you. I didn't really like it a lot, but it was okay. It had some good things in it. So that's my review. I hope you liked it, and thanks for watching, and bye.